I mean, it's something you could certainly taste and see if you think you can cope with it at the same time as the other studies. What do you reckon, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, as far as shorthand is concerned, I mean, it was something that I did. That was a module on the course I did a long, long time ago, and I have to admit that I hated doing it at the time, but in hindsight, what a great skill to have. You know, it served me well, particularly when I was a court reporter. It was absolutely indispensable. And the problem is, if you don't use it on a regular basis, you do get quite rusty. And unfortunately, I have got quite rusty over the years. And I've tried to use it again. And, you know, I mean, particularly phone interviews. We can use other devices to record interviews, but shorthand for me is still a fail-safe way of getting an interview 100% accurate, particularly if your shorthand's pretty good, because electronic devices can fail. I mean, it's happened to us all. It's happened to me once or twice. But with shorthand, you've always got it, and it's great in any situation, but particularly interviews and court reporting. So I would say if you do get that opportunity to do shorthand at this stage in your development, I'd certainly go for it, because you will find it invaluable if you do embark on a career in journalism.
And I'd just say as well that the other advantage of shorthand is speed. I mean, as Nick says, one of the reasons regional papers demand it is so that you can cover courts and council, which they can't trust you in otherwise, and where you can't take a tape recorder. But I think the biggest, as a features writer over the years, the biggest bonus for me for the shorthand, like Nick, I think everyone hates the trying to get up there to 100 words a minute. It's tough going. But it allows you to really edit as you go along, and traditionally, if you've got journalists who are purely reliant on tape recorders, it's a long-winded process to transcribe interviews that you've carried out, especially long-profile interviews. Whereas with a shorthand note, you can mark in the margin which bits you want to use, and effectively almost start writing straight away. It can just become a lot more long-winded. So you can see how you get on, Jojo. I think is perhaps the answer.
Okay, I'm just trying to keep tabs. Hello.
Yeah, me too. I've just been asking a couple of questions in type while we're speaking. So, did you want to?
Well, yes. An interesting question's coming from Fizz. She says she's about to start a freelance and feature writing course, and she thinks it talks more from the journalism point of view, but she's more interested in content writing, editing, mainly writing for the internet. Is this course helpful for that? I think it's a great course for getting the basics right, because I think you have to get the basics right before you can move on to things like content writing and editing. And I think it's a good platform. I would, just thinking off the top of my head, if you wanted a broader course that encompasses a bit of sub-editing, then the journalism and news writing course in the latter stages does do that kind of thing. The freelance course is mainly a writing course. I think there's a bit of law in there. And I think there's a bit of analysis of newspapers in there. But it certainly introduces students to ways of writing news stories, features, reviews, and those type of things, which is a good starting point, I think, for any budding freelance or journalist. You don't have to be freelance, but those are the skills I think you need to acquire from the outset. So what I would suggest is you continue with that course, and if you enjoy it, then you can perhaps take another course after that. You can possibly take the sub-editing and design course if sub-editing is something that interests you, or the journalism and news writing course as well. So I wouldn't start to question it yet. I'd give it a good go first.
There's also sorry, Nick. It was just to say that the structure of the way that it was designed was that I think if you look at the people's careers in newspapers as sort of features and internet sort of writers as well, was that the reporting was a starting point. I suppose that I think if you're going to go into features, obviously understanding the basics of news reporting is almost like a necessary evil, or before you then move on to look at the different sort of writing styles associated with features and the specific demands sort of associated with internet journalism and trade press and so on. So the structure is, and I think you'd expect that. We do that on the attendance course as well, sort of even when we've got sort of people who are very clearly interested perhaps in a sector of the industry other than reporting, they still have to go through that sort of just acquainting themselves with sort of news writing and that sort of formula, if you like. I think it does give you obviously I think both Nick and I have sort of features backgrounds, but I think I've always valued the knowledge of the sort of news writing side as well as a foundation for.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what it did for me is it sharpened my news sense, and it made me identify stories a lot easier and quicker. And also, I think it made me it quickened me up as well. I was able to turn out stories fairly rapidly after a couple of years of working on news. And also it helped my shorthand. So there's a lot of other spin-offs, I think, to news reporting, that can help in your development as a journalist. There's an interesting question here, which Andrew, maybe you might be able to answer, maybe not. It's about shorthand. Is it international? Steinway saying. In other words, do similar characters for most European languages exist, apart from the different letters of each alphabet?
I'm intrigued. Yes, obviously, quite a few foreign students would learn the form of shorthand that most journalists sort of learn in this country is T-line, which is, like most sort of, is a way of using symbols for obviously shortening words. You could apply it to any language, but I don't know if there are other. I'd need a shorthand expert on hand to let us know if there are other formats for different, especially for different alphabets, because obviously for a Cyrillic or Greek alphabet you would need a different approach. It's T-line, T-E-E-L-I-N-E, colour. And just, if Nick doesn't mind, just picking up with a very quick answer to Steinway's query about the earlier one about the online course, where can you start? There are two modules that you can start at, I think, Steinway, and that is either with the news writing or with the features writing. So there are 4 modules in total, and all students start with one of those 2 and then rotate through the other 3 during the 2 years. Obviously, many people decide to start with the news writing for the reasons that we were just saying to Fizz, that it's a good basis even if you want to be a features writer. But the option is there to start with the features writing module if you prefer.